Hi guys, and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to show you some tips about the geometry nodes and Blender. So in detail we are going to see how to use the rotation and the alignment on curves in geometry nodes to solve many problems and many issues on project in Blender. This is the first of 3 videos. The first will be rotation and alignment, the second the scaling, and the third the position and offsetting of the points on curves in geometry nodes in Blender. So let's get started. We are in Blender 3.2.1. This is an empty project. I go to geometry nodes, upper side, plus general geometry nodes. I add a curve, a simple curve, a bezier. So I create a new geometry nodes. The first tip is tilting. So imagine that you want to instance an object and tilt the instances following the curve. Okay, for help I will create in the layout a new object, Shift A, mesh, cube, for the axis. We will see better the result of the 3 axes X, Y, Z. Tab to enter in edit mode, 3 to face selection, select these 3 faces, Alt E, not E, extrude individual faces. Okay, press 10, enter. Okay, tab to exit from the edit mode, material section, new material. This is X axis. Set a red color, increase the roughness to 1, add a new material, select X, make it different, a new, Y, change from red to green, new material, Y, new, Z. Okay, color, not green but blue. Okay, I rename this in axis. Perfect. Tab to enter in the edit mode, Shift Z to see the back faces. Okay, to let us select them. Select these, X, assign, select these, Y, assign, select these, Z, assign. Tab to exit from the edit mode, Shift Z, and in upper right side show the texture. Okay, this is our axis. And to view the item information we can set this axis to 20 centimeter. Okay, Shift A to apply, always 1 to scale, and this is our axis. Okay, now hide the axis, go to geometry nodes, select the bezier curve, drag and drop the axis in the geometry nodes, and we can instance on points what the axis. Okay, we can resample the curve. Okay, in upper right side you can see the button to show you the texture. So Blender starts to instance the object on points without information about rotation. Okay, it uses the original position or relative position of the base object you created as an instance. Okay, if I show the instance, the base instance, G to move, Y, and I move, this doesn't change the position. But if I press Ctrl dot to show you the origin axis and press G, Y, if I move the origin, okay, you can notice that all the instance move. Right button to cancel the operation, Ctrl dot to exit from the origin axis, select the bezier curve. Now rotation, I want to tilt. Okay, so I can scale down a little bit my axis, increase my resample, and I want to tilt, okay, to twist my instances along the curve. in this case I can set tilt before instancing, because here we have a curve. Curve has tilt attribute. So if I press Ctrl Shift and click here, you can see in the spreadsheet the control points, okay, and the attributes, the free attribute tilt and radius. If I increase the tilt, all the tilt attribute is changing. I want to distribute in a linear way the tilting, so I can use the index of each points to tilt. Use the index and add a mathematical operation, a multiply operation, link the index and multiply with some value. So you probably think, I want to use a rounds number, okay, 1 round, 2 rounds, 3 rounds, etc., to better manipulate the tilting. So I can use a map range with a value. This is our rounds, and the final result is the radiant. Okay, so 1 round equal to radiant, to multiply by pi. Don't you like it? Okay, use a value 360 degrees, apply a math operation, and to radians. So you don't care about radians, you just link and voila. I have to turn off the clamping because I want to this value linearly outside my maximum values, so 360, 720, etc. So you can see the tilt is incredibly high in these last points. Why? Because we multiplied in a correct way here, but we have multiplied by the index. So 1 is 1 round, 2 is 2 round, etc. So if I increase the or decrease resample, you have a not correct tilting globally. I want n rounds to the last point, okay, whatever it is. So to do this, I have to divide the index by the count of my resample. So I can just have a value to count. I can insert 20 here and divide the index by this value, and then link it to multiply the rounds. So add a math operation and divide this by the count. In this case, I can have a value of rounding, and if I want 10 rounds, it's not perfectly right because we need to have the value of 360 degrees at the last point. So we have to subtract 1 to the counting because the last point has the index 19. So I can shift D, the node, subtract 1, and here we are. We have 1 round, okay, 1 round to the end of my curve. I can link these to control my counts, and here delete Control X, okay, and I can drag the tilting in the group input to manipulate from the external. So I can increase or decrease the number of points and increase the number of my rounds. Okay, now the rotation, there isn't. It's simple. I can just use F3 tilt to get the tilting of each points and link to the rotation. Okay, so 0. If I increase a little bit, you can see this rotation, but something's wrong. Okay, I'm using all 3 axes to rotate the points, okay, for tilting. Not correct. No. I have to use only the X axis. So I have to add the combine XYZ, insert, and now if I increase the number, I have the correct result. Okay, so increase the number, 0.2, increase a little bit, and I have this. Okay, this is very useful with the creation of rope. Example, Shift A, mesh, circle, 2 centimeter, GX to move, tab to enter in edit mode, select all, G, Y, 0.02, Shift duplicate in the Y, minus 0.04, this is my profile. Okay, tab to exit from the edit mode, select the Bezier curve, and now we can create a rope. So instead of instances point, I can convert the curve on mesh, curve to mesh, link the curve to mesh in the output, and use as a profile the new object. So drag the circle into geometry nodes and link the geometry to profile curve. So we have an info. Input geometry has unsupported type mesh. We have to convert the circle mesh to a curve mesh to curve here, and voila, this is a rope. Hide the axis. I can increase the number of tilting. So I want 0 rounds, 1 round. You can see, okay, the start of round tilting. So from 0 to 1. Okay, one round. With the 10 rounds, this sucks. Why? Because we have a poly resample. When you resample a curve, you get a poly curves. So you have to set the type, the spline type, from the poly to the Bezier curve, and then set the handle type to auto to have a smooth points. Voila, this is tilting. Go to group, resolution, and value, rounds, tilt. This is the first tip. Second tip, alignment. We can hide the Bezier curve, the circle, go to layout, and we can create a new mesh, a new curve, a curve spiral, to show you a little trick with this particular shape, curve shape. If you don't see curve spirals, go to edit, preferences, add-ons, and search extra. So you have to enable add curve extra objects. Now Shift A, curve spiral, Archimedean. So in the bottom left part we can set 2 rounds, go in high, decrease the radius grown, reduce a little bit. Perfect. This is a perfect example, okay, for the alignment. Go to geometry nodes, tab to exit from the edit mode, create a new geometry nodes. So we have this line. I can instance on points. We can again resample curve to 40 points, drag the axis, link to geometry to the instance, and voila, so decrease to 30. Again, you can see the rotation there isn't on the instances. I would like to have the instance along the curve, so I have to use the tangent. Okay, you have a curve here, okay, so you can use tangent. So I can't link this tangent to rotation because I would have a weird result. Okay, I have to move an axis to the vector of the tangent. Okay, so if the tangent follow the curve, I want one axis as you want, the x, the y, the z, whatever you want, follow the tangent vector. Okay, so to do this, there is a perfect node named align Euler to vector. What does it? You can align the axis you want of this vector, okay, to the vector you want. Okay, so I want the x-axis, this red axis, to go from the rotation that it has on each points of these instances to go to the tangent vector, okay, and I can then link rotation to rotation, and now you see that the red axis follow perfectly the curve, okay, but there is a problem. So this is why I chose the spiral, because if you press 1 to go to front view, in this point and this point we have a weird rotation of the points on the x-axis, so it's difficult to create a rope tilting on this spiral curve, okay, because there would be wrong result in tilting. So I have to use a little trick. You can see that this align Euler 2 vector uses a pivot axis to rotate the axis you want. The auto value specifies that Blender will choose the minimum movement he needs to move the axis you want to the vector you want. And you can see if I change this pivot point, is not clear the result. It's very strange, so leave it auto. I can add a second alignment to have other axes perfectly aligned. So I can just duplicate these nodes, and I want to align, for example, the green axis, the y-axis, up. So this is the vector I want, 0, 0, 1, the vector the up direction. I want to rotate the y-axis, local y-axis, so y-axis, okay, of what? Of the rotation that I have in this moment, okay, and I can link the rotation in this way. But there is a problem. I have to maintain, I don't want to lose the x-axis following the curve, so I have to use this pivot to x-axis, okay. And you can see the Blender tries to align the y-axis to the z-axis. Now if the sign is wrong, you can just input -1, okay, and now you can see the correct alignment along the curve for the x-axis and a better y-green axis along the curve. So now I can add a tilting or whatever you want. Instead of this, you can use the tilting of the other geometry nodes, select Bezier curve, and this is the tilting. So to make reusable these nodes, you can select all this one, Ctrl G to group, tab to exit from this node, and rename it in tilt control. Now I can select the spiral, add a set tilt, add a tilt control, drag my resolution, and drag the tilt rounds, okay, resolution here and tilt here, okay. Now you have this rotation, okay, but we have to tilt, okay. So I set the tilt, but I want to use it in addition to this rotation that I calculated before. It's not correct to add a vector math node with the add. No, it's wrong, because the tilting is one number, okay. You can't indicate here tilt, so you can, but it's wrong. Link this tilt to the vector, because you have a perfectly wrong result. You have to think that you want to rotate without losing the direction of the axis you have now in this moment on your curve, and modify it as you want. So delete these nodes with the Ctrl X, and we have to add a useful node called Rotate Euler. So I want to tilt on the x-axis, okay, maintain the x-axis and rotate the other axis. With tilt, I have to rotate only for the x. I have to combine x, y, z, link it only for the x-axis, link the vector to rotate by, link the rotation that I have now in this moment, and I don't want to use the object rotation, the x rotation of the entire object. So if I rotate these, the axis goes in a weird way. No, I want to use the local origin of each points on the curve. Okay, so now I have to link the rotation in this way. 0 tilt, nothing changed. Now if I increase a little bit the tilting, you have the tilting of the entire curve. So like before, we have to make a rope. So instead of instances point, select the Bezier curve. We can select the spline mesh, spline type, set handle, curve mesh, mesh to curve, object info, right button, copy. Select the spiral, paste, okay, G to move, and we have to link curve to the curve spline type and the mesh to geometry. And now we have the curve with no tilting. Okay, but if I want to tilt, I can without weird effect. Okay, I can go up, and voila, this is a perfect rope. Okay, so I can use tab to enter in edit mode, select the one point, press O to enable the fall off transformation, G, and you can see the rope is still aligned. Tap to exit from edit mode, and you can see a perfectly alignment along the curve. This is the second tip. Third tip, make a stairs. So if you want to create a stairs, duplicate these spiral, hide the first one, spiral, ropes, and these stairs. We can use these to make a new geometry nodes separated from the spiral ropes of before. So instead of tilting, I delete the tilting. I want to use the instances, so I delete these nodes and link the instance, okay, to my group output. Delete the tilt rounds. Perfect. Okay, I have this situation. I can move. Okay, I want to instance stairs. Okay, step. I want to maintain the alignment from the x-axis along the curve, but I want another axis absolutely horizontal. So I can choose the blue axis, the z-axis, and for these I can delete these tilting. I have to maintain this trick, okay, basic rotation, and now I have to add another align Euler to vector to align again the y-axis, okay, to the z-axis, but now without selecting pivot axis, okay, because it's obvious. If I want the y-axis go up, I can perfectly maintain the tangent of the x-axis along the curve. Okay, so shift in a direction that let me have the y-axis up. So I can use this actual rotation to align the y-axis, okay, with an out pivot to the z vector, only the z vector. We can try rotation to rotation, and voila. So again, the sign is wrong, -1. Perfect. So you can see the partial tangent direction is maintained. So if I press 7 to top view, you can see the tangent is correct in each point of my spiral, okay, but at the same time I have the y-axis up, and finally the z-axis in the correct direction. So if I press 1 to the front view, you can see all the blue axes are horizontal. Okay, so if I create Shift A, mesh cube, and to view information item here, I want 5 centimeter, 20 centimeter, and 80 centimeter. So this is my step. I can change the origin of this step if I want. Press Ctrl dot or select these options and check origins, affect only origins temporarily. G, X, and 0.4 minus, enter. So the origin is in a new position. Okay, here tap to exit from the and select the spiral. Ctrl dot. Keep in mind that you have to press Ctrl dot in the viewport, not here in the geometry nodes. The shortcut is different, has a different effect. I can use this cube as a step. Select the stairs, select the step, and this is the result. Why? Because we forgot to select the step. Ctrl A and apply scale. Okay, the direction is wrong. No, it's not wrong, but we have the axis rotated from an original point. The longest size follow the curve. So I can simply select my geometry, Shift S, cursor to selected here. Okay, change the transformation pivot point to the 3D cursor, tap to enter in edit mode, A to select all, R to rotate, Z 90 degrees. Now I have also to rotate to another axis, the x-axis, to make the step horizontal. So R from the x-axis 90 degrees, minus 90 degrees. Enter. Tap to exit from the edit view, and voila. Okay, it's a little weird, but the method is correct. I can increase my number of steps, and playing with O to control the fall off, and G to move my step as I want. Tap to exit from the edit mode, and this is the result. Okay, final tip. The fourth tip I can show you is make a rotation like a chain. I can hide my step, create a simple line. Okay, this is my line. Okay, I can select these points 0 z-axis and 0 x-axis. Perfect. Okay, so tap to exit from the edit mode, create a new geometry nodes, resample the curve as I want, link the resolution out, rename resolution. Okay, I can instance on points what my axis. Ta-da! This is my axis. So the trick is to rotate of 90 degrees every even or odd points based by the index. I can use the set tilt if you want, or you can directly rotate the points while instancing. It's the same. In this case I will use the rotation, directly the rotation. Okay, so I can use the index, the node called Euler aligned to vector. If you imagine a chain, okay, the single chain of a chain, you have 0 degrees, 90 degrees, 0 degrees, 90 degrees, etc, etc. So I can use the index, add a math operation, use the module every 2 pieces of chain, and now we have to multiply this value by 90 degrees, but I remember to you this is radians, so you can use a value to make it easy. Set 90 degrees, add a math operation, set to radians, so link the value to the multiply, and now the align Euler to vector is not correct in this case, so I will delete this and add a Euler rotation. So I want to maintain the axis along the curve, so I have y-axis along the curve. I want to maintain it. I want to rotate the other axis through this axis. Okay, so the y is locked and the other axis have to be rotated by 0 degrees, 90 degrees, 0 degrees, 90 degrees. So I want to rotate in a local way, okay, not the object, not by the rotation of the entire object, but the local of each point on curve. What the actual rotation, this what you're seeing in this exact moment, by a value, what only the y-axis. So if I rotate this, I link the rotation to the rotation of an instanced object and change the y-axis, you can see the y is still the same. So I have to add a combine xyz to get only the y rotation and link vector to rotate by. Ta-da! And we have 0 rotation, 90 degrees, 0 rotation, etc. Now let's make a chain. Shift A, mesh, torus, go to layout, select the object, tab to go to edit mode, 7 to top view, shift Z to see back faces. So select these faces, right mouse button, split, GX, okay. Now for the edge selection, select one edge, shift alt and click right button, bridge edge loop. The same in this portion, select, shift alt and click, shift alt and click, right button, bridge edge loop. Tap to exit from the edit mode, scale very little, Control A, apply scale, and Shift Z to see again the texture. And this is our chain. Select the material, new material, go down, metallic, perfectly, completely metallic, roughness decreased. This is my piece of chain, okay. Right button, shade smooth to have a fake smoothness. Now select my align geometry nodes and select torus. You can increase the number of the chain, so don't care about the origin of each piece of chain, but the result is correct. Layout, go to layout, and this is the result. Okay, a procedural chain generator. This was the 4th tip for today about orientation and alignment in geometry nodes. Thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you want to, you can download the project from the link in the description. You can leave a comment if you want, give a like. If you want to subscribe to my channel, I would appreciate it, and in this way you can follow all my future videos. See you